Howdy, folks. Welcome back to the 2026 primary election analysis series. On May 19th, there will be 6 states voting that day. In this episode, we will be discussing the state of Alabama. Returning viewers know why I make these videos, but if you are new to the channel, here are the cliff notes. Trump bad, and should have been impeached over a year ago. Our Congress is spineless and doesn't understand Rule 9. We need new congressional members ready to impeach, remove, and convict every criminal in the government and abolish and prosecute ICE for their crimes. Afterwards, if we make it that far and still have a habitable planet, these are the policies that should be fought for. I understand the world is literally burning around us. We need the combined efforts of a general strike and protests and civil disobedience if we are going to demand the Epstein-class oligarchs remove Trump from office. Otherwise, we are just waiting for him to die soon. Which is not unreasonable. He is 79 and decaying a little more each day. But know this, our problems never started with Trump, and they won't end with his death either. And they certainly won't end if corporatist, centrist, liberal Epstein-class Democrats continue to win back power. The midterm elections will happen on November 3rd. The primary elections will narrow down our options in those elections. By not participating, it guarantees the Epstein class another seat in Congress, regardless which party wins. To fight and start taking power back, we all must participate in the primary election process and support the candidates who are sincere in fighting for the people. Let's now discuss how our friends in Alabama can do just that. Alabama is a state with an average population size of just over 5 million. This gives them 7 seats in the House of Representatives. Currently, 2 of them are held by Democrats. But when those Democrats take money from the same corporate and foreign interest lobbies as other Republicans, are they really any better? At this moment, none of Alabama's congressional delegation represent the people, just corporations and more profiteers. While many have written off Alabama as a Republican state, I believe this state, like many in our country, contain more people who do want better for themselves and others. The problem is, for various reasons, they decide not to participate in the process and don't vote. In 2016, only 32% of eligible voters made their voices heard. In the general, it went up to 58.8%. To be fair, both these participations are slightly higher than the national average for each election. The primary elections in the U.S. have much lower turnout compared to everything else. But these numbers are far more embarrassing when compared to election participation of other democratic nations. For progressive candidates to win every state, it will take as many of us as possible to register to vote and vote for these candidates on every election day. While there isn't a candidate for every seat this election cycle, I have identified 3 candidates deserving of the secular lefty approved spotlight. Before discussing them, let's first review the primary process the candidates and voters must navigate to win. The information provided from Ballotpedia here tells us that Alabama has effectively open primaries. A voter may participate in any party's primary by declaring his or her preference for that party at the polls in the day of the primary election. As long as you are a registered voter, you are able to select which party's primary to vote in. In systems without ranked choice voting or a top 2 style system, this is the next best option because it allows the voices of independent and non-party affiliated voters to be heard. States with closed primaries force voters to register with a party. A decision many voters don't want to make, even if they choose to vote for a certain party in the general election. For the candidates to win their primary, they need to earn a majority of votes. At minimum, that's 50% plus 1 vote. If no candidate reaches that threshold, a very likely possibility with the more candidates there are in a single race, then the top 2 vote earners move on to a runoff election that is scheduled on June 16th for the state of Alabama. This next piece of information is critical to eligible voters. This is from the National Conference of State Legislatures. If you are not registered to vote, you have 15 days before an election to do so in person or online. The election is May 19th, so you have until May 4th to get that voter registration sorted out. There is some additional information on the site 411 here. I would have used this to show you the May 4th deadline, but there's actually another election in Alabama happening first. For those in the city of Tuscaloosa, there is a special election for City Council District 3 occurring on Tuesday, April 14th. If that applies to you, go vote in it. I know absolutely nothing about that race. Registration for that primary is closed, but it's not too late to get registered before May 4th for the May 19th primary. In the next sections, we will review 3 candidates that will make the time registering and voting worth it. But first, let's discuss the bad news and get it out of the way. As mentioned earlier, not every seat has an inspiring candidate to vote for. In the 2nd and 7th districts, both APAC Democratic incumbents don't have a primary challenger. 2 seats automatically lost. The remaining seats are currently held by Republicans. In the 1st and 6th districts, the Democratic challengers are running unopposed, and while they're probably better than the Republican alternative, but when reviewing their campaign information, they gave me no evidence of being candidates worth supporting. If a candidate can't provide that information, I won't waste your time talking about them or to support their campaigns. Likewise, in the U.S. Senate race, there are 4 candidates running, but they are all nicks, non-inspiring candidates. While I usually use the Senate race as a reason for voters in districts without inspiring candidates to go vote, it is difficult when the Senate race also lacks inspiring candidates. That being said, there are also all the state and local level elections that happen as well. I don't have the time to cover all that information, although I wish I could, and it's equally important. So please don't take away the wrong message here. Voters in districts with no inspiring congressional candidates still participate in the system, help with those local and state level races, or you can help support one of these 3 secular lefty-approved candidates in other districts. In the 3rd district, we actually get an easy win, for the primary anyway. Lee McInnis is running unopposed in the primary, so we'll get at least 1 win out of the 3 once votes are counted on May 19th. More importantly, Lee is running on a campaign of policies that align with what we need in the moment. Policies addressing the affordability problems such as low wages and lack of a single-payer health insurance paid by taxing the wealthy. This and his commitment to not accepting corporate PAC money is what makes Lee a secular lefty-approved candidate. Although, let's take a quick look at the odds of winning in the general. In 2024, the Republican incumbent Mike Rogers didn't even have an opponent. Back in 2022, he won comfortably with 71.2% of the vote. This seat could be flipped, but I don't know the numbers in Alabama's 3rd district in terms of could there be enough voters, either new voters or Republicans switching to Democrat, to flip a seat by 45 points? Or is there just too many MAGA cultists in this district? Lee has decent policies, and if he's out meeting with voters, he'll have a chance to win. Moving on to the 4th district. This is a race with 2 candidates. Only one of them met the requirements for approval. That candidate is Amanda Pusczek. In just one small portion of the policies she lists on her campaign page, she clearly states support for universal health care, raising teacher pay and tuition-free college and trade school, and raising the minimum wage, and so much more. Voters in Alabama's 4th district, don't miss your chance on electing a fantastic leader to the House of Representatives. A Congress member who will fight to make your life better. Looking at the previous history, in 2024, the Republican incumbent Robert Aderholt didn't even have a challenger. In 2022, it was a close race, kind of. Okay, not really. Rob won with an absurd 84% of the vote. I don't know any info about the Democrat who ran in 2022, but clearly whatever his campaign was, it didn't work. This time, the 4th district could have a general election candidate with a real policy platform and the will to improve your lives. For voters to have that option, you have to support Amanda Pusczek in the May 19th primary election first. The work to win is still largely dependent on her and her campaign, but we can also help by raising awareness about her campaign. As you see, these candidates aren't available in every district, so when they do appear, we need to help them, so once they're elected, they can help us. For more information on this great candidate, give this short interview a watch after this video. Amanda had an excellent conversation with the hosts on the channel Alabama Politics this week. I will include a link to this interview along with Amanda's campaign page below in the video description. The last candidate worthy of support and earned the secular lefty approval is Jeremy Devito, running in the 5th district. As with many approved candidates, his focus includes universal human rights policies. On his website, here are 2 examples of where he stands when it comes to immigration and healthcare. There are 3 candidates in this race, and Jeremy had by far the best policy positions. Back in 2024, the Republican incumbent Dale Strong didn't have an opponent, just like in the 4th district. When voters across the country ask how some of the politicians get reelected, It really is just because there was literally no other alternative. In 2022, Dale won with 67% of the vote, and the Democrat only received 29.6%. By no means is the 5th District, or 4th or 3rd, going to be an easy win for a Democrat to flip those seats. Even in the elections that have occurred between the end of 2025 and now, we have seen seats flip from Republican to Democrat that had moved as many as 30 points. For some of those races in Alabama, we would be hoping for a 40-point or more swing to flip it. Not necessarily impossible, but like I said earlier, in each district, what are the numbers of voters truly? Are there more MAGA cultists, or do they have a false majority, allowed by the absence of tens of thousands of voters every year? If it's the latter, then you need the most inspiring candidates to get voters registered and out to the polls on Election Day. These candidates pictured here have the best policy positions. Policy is, of course, not enough. Far more important is that these candidates, and candidates everywhere, do the work. Meet your constituents, speak with them, hold events and town halls constantly. Assuming they are putting in the work and meeting with voters where they are throughout their districts, then these will be the candidates with the best odds of winning in November. But they have to win their primary elections first. Before ending this video, I also want to spotlight a few additional races here and increase their visibility. Back on March 3rd, Texas had their primary election. Their primary required candidates to earn a majority of votes to win. In 8 of their races, no candidates won a majority. The primary winners will be decided by a runoff election taking place on May 26. 4 of these races have secular lefty approved candidates that I recommend you support and vote for if you can. Next, in Michigan, a spotlight for the U.S. Senate race there. Another election that's been poisoned by AIPAC money and establishment misdirection. The best candidate is Abdul El-Sayed, the physician and co-author of the book Medicare for All, A Citizen's Guide. This is the best candidate in that race. Michigan's candidate filing deadline closes on May 26 and votes on August 4th. So there's still some time for this election, but it's important to keep an eye on it now. I talked more about this race in my last Secular Lefty Chat episode that reviewed the Illinois primary results. We need to avoid more losses like we had in Illinois. If you haven't seen that episode yet, go check it out after finishing this video. Lastly, a shout out for the candidate Hunter Gordon, a great progressive, secular lefty approved candidate running in Washington's 1st District against AIPAC Dem Susan Delbene. This is a grassroots campaign not taking any corporate PAC money. If you are in a position to donate, this is a race worth supporting to take down another AIPAC Epstein-class puppet. Alabama votes on May 19th, and these 3 are the secular lefty approved candidates with the best chance of winning in the general election. If you disagree, or if there was any relevant information I missed, please let me know in the comments. All approved candidates mentioned will have their campaign pages linked in the video description. Learn more about them and support their campaigns, or consider throwing me $1 over on my Patreon. The next states to vote are Indiana and Ohio voting on Tuesday, May 5th, followed by Nebraska and West Virginia the following Tuesday, May 12th. Then on Saturday, May 16th, Louisiana voters will make their choices. Episodes reviewing those states' primaries are out now. If you know anyone who lives in those states, please share the channel and those videos with them. Alabama is not the only state voting on May 19th. Georgia, Idaho, Kentucky, Oregon, and Pennsylvania will also be voting. These will be the next videos released on the channel. Be sure you're subscribed and ring that bell to be notified of my newest videos. If there was anything I said in today's video you found useful or important, please give it a like and share it everywhere. Together, we can make more Americans more educated, and hopefully that will result in better election outcomes. Until the next video, please consider checking out my other work on this channel. Any additional watch time and shares will help the channel reach more people and is greatly appreciated. Thank you again for listening, and take care.